Hello guys, let's continue with the math section. The math section has two portions. The first portion is the no calculator portion, and the second portion is the calculator portion. The math section tests your abilities to understand and solve simple mathematical problems. Let's focus on the word simple. In my opinion, and if you ask like almost every SAT student, he will tell you that the math section is easier than the English. I'm not saying that the English is like really difficult or impossible. No, that's not the case. But if you compare the two sections, the math is easier. And the good thing is that most universities here in Turkey or abroad, they ask about the math section, and they care more about the math section than the English section, because you know the English section is harder, and especially for us, we're not native speakers. The English section could be a little bit hard for us, but the good thing is that most universities, really good universities, they ask only about the math. I'm not saying that they completely ignore the English. You have to get a good English score, but the easier section, that is the math, is more focused on than the English section. The math section has two portions. As I mentioned, the first portion is the no calculator portion. As you can see, you can't use the calculator in this portion. In this part, okay, let's delete one of them. The use of the calculator is prohibited, and you have 20 questions and 25 minutes to solve. These questions won't require a calculator. There won't be really difficult like decimal numbers with, like, for example, a number like this won't be present in this section, of course. These kind of numbers will be present in the next section that we're going to talk about, the calculator section. The second portion is the calculator portion. And this part, the use, and again, the use of the calculator is allowed. Actually, you have 38 questions and you have 55 minutes. As you can see, you're not really pressured with time as in the English section. You can use the calculator. I'm not saying that you have to use the calculator. Some students just this is the paper, this is the student sitting. The paper is too big, by the way. Let's say this is the paper. Let's move this, and this is the calculator, and he's always using the calculator for every question. He's just like the calculator is in his hand, and he's always using the calculator. No, this is not the case. You will be using the calculator for really hard to solve questions, especially like some questions are almost impossible to solve without a calculator. And these questions, out of the 38 questions, could be like 3 or 5 questions. We will be practicing solve without a calculator, because believe me, this method is way faster than solving with the calculator. It might sound weird, like teacher Moti, how is that possible? Like, you solving with your hand is quicker than solving with a calculator? Yes, sometimes this is the case. Actually, sometimes you will be solving just like inside your head. You won't be writing anything. You'll just look at the hopefully we will reach a level that you just like look at the question, think about it for like 5 or 10 seconds, and then solve it. Not for all the questions, of course, but for some questions, they're just like one look and a solve. As simple as that. Let's move on. In both of these in both of these portions, there are two types of questions: a grid-in and a multiple choice. We are probably familiar with the multiple choice, but what is a grid-in? I'll tell you. Multiple choice, as you can see, is really easy. A, B, C, D. We all know this type. of question, but the grading in both of the no calculator and the calculator section, you will have this grading. How do we like fill this grading? I'll tell you. For example, you just put this, then fill it. You choose the 7. Of course, you have to just fill it properly, not like really. For example, you have to fill it like this, not really quickly. You have to take your time filling these circles, because if you don't, of course, you will have a mistake. If you fill it like this, for example, this is a problem, and you will fill it like this. So this is the way of answering the grading, and the multiple choice is really easy. There's no need to explain. Let's move on. Facts and formulas. A fact and formulas sheet will be on the first page of each portion. Memorizing this sheet and getting familiar with it is really significant. So yeah, you see these formulas, how you compute the area of a rectangle, of a triangle, of like a ball shaped, a cylinder, for example. All these areas and volumes are present. The formulas are present. There is no need to memorize, but flipping the page each time, like for example, you are on page 3, and this formula sheet is on page 1. Flipping each time and going back and forth between the questions and the formula sheet is really a really grave mistake, guys. Doing this will waste a lot of your time. You will have to memorize most of them, because when you will solve a lot of questions, and you will be practicing and finishing a lot of practice tests, so you will be familiar with this. Like most of these are like easy. We probably know most of these, like the area of a triangle, the area of a rectangle, the area and the circumference of a circle. These are really easy. Some of them, like for example, this might be new for you guys, but by solving a lot of questions, most of these will be in your mind. They will be present in your mind, and there's no need to go back and forth between the questions and the reference, the facts and formula sheet. But just in case, if you just forget one of these, you can go back. In the math section, there are 4 areas. First area is the heart of algebra. The focus here is on linear equations, system of linear equations, representations of real life situations in the form of linear equations. So simply just linear equations. Maybe a system of linear equations, maybe just linear equations, maybe real life presentation. For example, like John has 2/3 of like 2/3 of the apple. So you write x equals 2/3 of y, for example. You just represent real life problems and real life situations in the form of linear equations. Okay, let's move on to the second question, area, problem solving and data analysis. This part includes ratios, percentages, proportions, graphical and statistical data, and many more. As you can see in this picture, everything is summarized. Actually, you will be giving some data, or like percentages, ratios, pictures like this, infographics, let's say, and you will just have to understand and solve the question depending on this data. Okay. The third type, passport to advanced math. As you can see here, the word calculus. You will see this word a lot in the university. Actually, passport to advanced math, as its name states, this area prepares the students. Let's focus on this word. Prepares the students for the calculus and statistics by containing more complex equations and functions. It's not really complex, guys. It is just a little bit more complex than the normal algebra and data analysis. What is included in this area is almost random. There's no such thing as like knowing all the questions that could be on this area, but just let's keep in mind that one of the areas is just a little bit more complex, that gives us questions that makes us familiar and like gives us this passport to go to the university and understand calculus and statistics. Okay, let's move on to the fourth and last section, additional topics in math. This area has the following: volume, area, surface area, lines, angles, complex numbers, and so on. These are simply additional topics. There's no need to talk about each topic. We will talk about each topic in the course, in the lessons, in the upcoming lessons, but for this explanation, there's no need to talk in details. Just keep in mind that the fourth area is really random. It has a lot of topics inside. All of these and many more. The essay. The essay is optional. Well, you might ask, what is the essay? You haven't talked anything about the essay. You didn't give us any information. Yes, because the essay is actually the handwriting part. It is optional, and almost no universities ask for the essay, especially here in Turkey. I can guarantee that like there is no university that asks, but in some areas, in some abroad, like in some countries, they require the essay. The essay is simply handwriting. You don't get a passage and try to correct it and improve it. No, you just write the passage. And thank God this part is optional, because many students face a lot of difficulties with creating the content. This is actually creating the content. You're giving the content. Many students prefer taking an already made content and just analyzing it and like organizing it. And I agree, this is way simpler than giving the content yourself. Let's tell you some useful tips. We have to keep in mind that solving questions is not the real achievement we're looking for. So you might ask, Teacher Moti, what is the real achievement? The real achievement in the SAT test is solving with speed, solving quickly, guys. The SAT, I told you, the SAT is simple. It is just about time. You saw in the English section, the time wasn't really enough. Like the time was barely enough. Like the time was, for example, in the writing section, 35 minutes and 44 questions and 4 passages. The time might not seem enough, but by learning how to solve quickly with speed and learning the good tricks and tips, hopefully you will be able to solve the questions quickly. So just to reiterate, the key here is speed, not solving, because most of us will be able to solve the questions. If you give me, like, for example, 5 minutes to solve one question, I can think and think and think, and I will probably get the answer. But the key here, let's keep in mind, this is really, really, really essential, solving with speed. Unlike other harder tests, the SAT contains questions that are simple and moderate in difficulty. I told you guys, I've been telling you this throughout this presentation, throughout this whole presentation. The key here is to solve with speed, not to solve the question, okay? So just hopefully we will achieve this with our tips and tricks throughout the upcoming lessons. Solving practice tests is the key to having a high score in the SAT. Yes. You might be shocked because some students, study all the skills and finish all the skills, and they're so perfect and they're so ready for the exam. They go to their first practice test to solve and to improve. This happens. First practice test, low score, sad student. Please don't do this, guys. This is really grave, and this is a really grave mistake to do, and it will probably happen, but I'm just telling you this is really normal. With your first practice test, it is really normal to get a low score. Like finishing the skills and going through all the skills and perfecting the skills is not the key. The key here is to solve. We will be solving 8 or like 10, 12 practice tests, and these tests will help us to improve our score, not knowing all the skills. Solving is key to having a high score. Okay, keep this in mind. It is really important. Thanks for watching. I hope that was beneficial. I hope the information was simple. This video was prepared by Abdul Diab. Thank you for watching and take care.